All right. So one of the things that we talk about in Asset Over Liability is transformation, helping people drop all the vices, drop bad habits, replace them with good habits, and become the person they've always wanted to be. Whatever their ideal is, however they see themselves, we help you get there. That's our mission. That's what our purpose. That's what we want to do and what we do for other people. So if you are interested in that kind of thing and you want to break through, like you can find information anywhere. You can Google how to work out. You can YouTube an exercise program and there'll be some dude steroided out telling you to do 3 sets of 10 of something, And if so the information is out there, but what's not out there is transformation. You need somebody who's been there, who's gone through the process, who can walk you through it and help you reach your goals, help you reach your objectives, help you become that ideal person that you have in your head that you've always wanted to be, and you've just never been able to quite get there. That's what we do. So if you're interested in that, you can find us at paulsharpcoaching.com. You can also find Jill on Instagram at Jill Sharp RN, and on YouTube, it's Paul Sharp Coaching, and on Facebook, Paul Sharp and Jill Sharp. And you can find us in all those places. DM us, reach out, and we'll get to work. We'll help you get there. We absolutely will help you reach your goals. There's no way. We will not let you fail. I will come to your house and slap that food out of your hand. Just kidding. I will come to your house and wake you up at 3 a.m. though.
We will, because we love you more than your mom does.
Exactly. I know you can do it. Your mom doesn't. She thinks she does, but she hasn't coached enough people. I have. Your mom's coached you. That's it. And nothing against your mom. I'm sure she did a great job with you, but I can help you. And literally coach thousands of people from all walks of life through every fight sport.
Yeah.
And taking people that were 300 pounds on diabetic medicine, heart medicine in their 30s, taking a guy from that position to where he's now a competitive purple belt competing all over the world in jiu-jitsu and just having a blast.
Yeah.
And unrecognizable. You'd never recognize, like you see his old pictures, you see him now, it's unrecognizable. But that's the kind of experience we bring to the table, where we tell people we can get you there. And we know more about how to do it than even we believe in you more than your own mom does, because she just doesn't have the background. Nothing against your mom. I'm sure she's a nice lady, but she just doesn't know. So my mom doesn't know either. My mom sees me do all this stuff, work out, and she's constantly like, don't push yourself so hard. You don't need to do that. You don't need to work out that hard. You don't need to do. Yeah, she's a mom. That's what moms do. But you need somebody that's going to put their foot in your ass and make you work hard and get it done. And that's me. So, ready?
Ready.
All right. So I thought it would be cool if you could tell people about yourself, your transformation, how you came to be who you are now, because you're not the same person you were 8 years ago, 10 years ago. A lot of things have changed for you. And we've talked about your autoimmune issues in the past. And I'm kidding. I realize they're real. I'm not saying they're not real when I do the air quotes around autoimmune. But no, it's real. I get it. It's totally real. And I understand people being in pain and all the different things that come with that stuff. And so I'm joking only because I can joke with you about it. I can't joke with anybody else because they get upset. But it's been interesting, and I've seen it. I've seen where you've had flare-ups and things happen. It's like, wow, that's not cool. That does not look fun, and migraines and all that stuff that you deal with. And so it seems like you were able to heal yourself through a pretty comprehensive process of jiu-jitsu, food, all these different things. So if you don't mind, would you take us through that? Just kind of like the origin story of Jill. How did we end up here?
How did we end up here? Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Every superhero has an origin story.
Well, I think what's my superhero name? We'll have to talk about that on another time.
Yeah, you definitely got the rogue thing going with the gray. Just right through there, the white streak right through there. It's kind of roguish. I'm not a big X-Men fan, but
Well, the other thing that's strange is that I have more gray hair on the right side of my head than I do on the left side of the head. So
yeah.
I think it's because I'm going to become a lot more creative.
Or maybe that's all the creativity just leaving.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. That's a terrible thought.
It's Elvira too, right? Didn't
Yeah.
she have
No, I
Bride
want
of
to
Frankenstein?
be, or the 101 Dalmatians evil character where she's
Yeah.
half gray, half black. That might be
Yeah.
happening. I'm
Was
not
that
sure.
Glenn Close?
Well, I mean, that's the actress who portrayed her, but
Yeah.
all right. Anyways, this is terrible. Let's talk about jiu-jitsu. It's a lot
Let's talk
more
about
fun.
jiu-jitsu.
So I think previously, as we've been kind of introducing ourselves to the audience, we talked about, how you end up from there to here.
Mhm.
So we've talked about autoimmune issues, chronic health challenges, and my life as a midwife, and just the collection of experience that I've gathered over the course of my life. And one of those things has been jiu-jitsu. I just did an interview with a high schooler, and he wanted to know how jiu-jitsu had changed my life. And I told him in every way. It's influenced and impacted me in every single way. One of those is actually part of my autoimmune issue, which is this adverse response to exercise. And instead of getting that really good endorphin rush, I get this cortisol release. And so I had been spending time like eating right and exercising, but always feeling really stressed out. And the first thing that I noticed when I trained jiu-jitsu was that I felt really good afterwards. And it was the first time I had done any exercise where I actually felt good.
Yeah.
And then I read an article in Psychology Today that explained it for me, which is that when you are working in or when you're doing a grappling sport or a team sport, you're engaging with other people, you're actually exchanging oxytocin with them, or the bonding hormone. And so I was experiencing for the first time this working out in grappling and feeling really bonded and connected to people. And that was a post-workout feeling that I wanted to continue having. But I think when I reflect on jiu-jitsu, the things that I think about are, once you start working out and you realize how difficult it is to move, that you lack coordination, agility, speed, strength, all of those things, it drives you to want to attain those things. And so it's like I showed up to the gym thinking that I was going to be doing jiu-jitsu and some sort of karate.
Right.
And I end up in a gi that's sopping wet by the end of training and just getting like choked and armbarred and whatever else. And thinking, this sucks, but I feel so good. I want more. How can I do it better? And so then I started wanting to eat even better. I wanted to start building up my cardio. So I started, walking and then running. I wanted to build up my strength. And so I started weightlifting. I started sauna-ing because I needed to experience, pain relief basically, and kind of healing up the minor injuries that kind of come along with this grappling sport. And so pretty soon it's just this, like, everything is transforming physically for me. And then I decided that I wanted to compete.
Nice. How'd that go?
It was so terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, it was awful. So how old was I? 41, I guess. Maybe I was still a white belt, and I'd been training for about a year. And I had come into the sport weighing, already having lost a bunch of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think I weighed maybe 175 when I started, and I had worked my way down to 165,
Mm-hmm.
but I was a lot stronger than I was. I was still heavier, but I was a lot stronger. And I thought, well, I guess the logical next step is to compete.
Yeah.
And so I registered for Masters 165. There was one other mom in my weight class,
And your bracket.
or in my bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so terrible. It was so terrible. I was so terrified. I was really scared. I completely froze. And I remember just like walking in, and my heart was beating, and I stood in the center, and I just was like, I don't know. I did something weird with my hands. And then she grabbed my collar and took me down. And I honestly was like on my side fetal, could not get out from under her.
Yeah.
And I just laid there for 5 minutes. It was humiliating. At some point, she bumped my nose, and my nose bled.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, well, at least I got a bloody nose. But it was so lame. It was incredibly lame. I cried. The best part is my parents were watching from the mezzanine.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and I had blood on my nose, and my mom dropped a tissue from the mezzanine.
You had to airdrop a tissue.
It floated
God.
down, and I caught it. I mean, just the whole thing was just so.
Your training did not adequately prepare you for what was about to happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
which that's a really good point too. What do you look for in a coach? Like I needed some guidance in my mindset for that moment.
Yeah.
I needed some sort of competitive training program to prepare me for that moment.
Yeah.
I was not prepared, and I did not have a coach who could get me there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that at the time.
Right.
I was just, I was ignorant. I was just,
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
you don't know what you don't know. So I did compete a couple
And that
more.
coach is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. You're my coach now.
He gone.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about, though, I want to include the last competition that I did. And this was at blue belt. I haven't competed at purple belt yet. But every competition I've had, like there's been one other woman that's always been there.
Yeah.
And, she had always beat me.
Yeah.
And then there was also, like a gal that I train with, she competes, and, she had beat me, and, whatever. I'd had some wins, and I'd had some losses.
Sure.
But I learned something really interesting in the last competition that I was in. And that was the difference between showing up to have fun and showing up to win.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had never shown up to win before.
Yeah.
So the first competition that I ever did was just trying it out because I was never an athlete. I thought it was a natural progression, and I wanted to see where I fell among other women, my age, my weight, my rank.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a hilarious but also terrible experience. I continued to compete, and I had competitions where, in order to make the bracket complete, we had females that were teenagers to masters. One was a state wrestling champ. The weight class was 135 to 165. And it's just a little bit of everything. And so the last time I competed, I went through, and I showed up that day ready to go. I was doing gi and no gi. I was really excited. I was just there to have fun, and I was talking to everybody and taking pictures with everybody. And then I'd go compete, and I had, like my people cheering for me, and I just kept failing. I just kept losing.
Yeah.
And I got more frustrated, it was just like, I can't believe that I'm not here. I'm not winning. My very last match was with this woman that I had lost to every single time. And we stepped on the mat, and I was like, I'm sick of losing.
Right. It gets old.
I should be better than this. I've been training for this long. I'm this rank. I have this many hours.
Mm-hmm.
I still had the same coach.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared. I didn't show up with the right mindset, but I decided in that very last match, I am sick of losing.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to figure out mindset for yourself.
I had to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
And I pushed the pace as hard as I could. And I was pushing the pace. I was just making all the attempts that I possibly could.
Yeah.
I had Jesse in my corner who actually ended up having to argue for me, argue on my behalf because the ref missed something. Yeah. I ended up winning that match.
Nice.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
And when I went home and was reflecting on that later, I was like, I showed up to have fun.
Right.
I showed up to have a good time, and that's not the same thing as showing up to win for yourself. Yeah. And that's the last time I'll ever do that.
Exactly. Well, there's a saying, right? There's people that show up to have fun. There's people that show up to win. And then there's people that show up to see what they're made of. Which one do you want to face?
Yeah.
I'd rather face the two I'd rather face somebody who just wants to have fun or somebody who just wants to win. I don't want to face the person that wants to see what they're made of.
Yeah.
Because that's an animal.
Yeah.
That's a savage.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're like, win, lose, or draw, we're both leaving here different. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know about that guy. I don't want to face that guy.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be that guy. I just don't want to face him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's an important mindset shift though.
Yeah. And talking about mindset too, and having a coach, that's the other thing that I've learned after, 8.5 years doing jiu-jitsu is the difference between being forced into a situation where you have to learn things for yourself based on experience and how long that takes versus having a coach who is not doing the work for you, but there to guide you and there to help you. I think, co-create, I think is the best word for it. But, like what are your goals? What do you value? How do you want your experience to be? And then helping create a pathway for yourself for that. And so I don't know, jiu-jitsu is just teaches you so many life lessons. And it's why I try not to be a missionary for jiu-jitsu or proselytize about it too much, because I think it's probably annoying to people for me to talk about my karate.
Right.
But it teaches you a lot of life lessons, and it's why I think kids should be doing it. Yeah. Especially girls. And so when I'm talking to women and they're asking me about jiu-jitsu, these are some of the things that I share with them. But it also created an opportunity for me to experience a total mind shift when I looked at just what I thought was my reality. And so it's opened a lot of doors for me. It gave me opportunities to teach self-defense to women and girls at Camp Rainbow Gold, which is a camp for kids with cancer. It's a really amazing organization here in Idaho. But then I've also taught women's self-defense for the community, for church groups, things like that. So it's opened those sort of doors where I can really be in a position of empowerment for women and girls and help them think about their lives, their health, their safety, boundaries, things like that. And it opened a pathway to you, and then spending time at the site and taking personal protection even further, learning how to use a pistol, a rifle, long-range precision rifle, edge weapons, and just get deeper into what personal freedom and what liberty mean, and think about our political system in a deeper and different way.
Yeah.
So, just like all things put together, as I assess my reality and, the life that I thought I was living versus the life that I have come to live and understand, it's so much, richer, both in experiences and understanding. But it all started with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Well, tell them about the site. What is the site?
So the site, you instructed at the site for about 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you invited me to attend your class that you were teaching there called Realistic Expectations in Violence, which is a 16-hour class that covers everything. You're working the pistol, but it covers everything from recoil mitigation and beginner's precision, but it also takes you through other possible situations like moving, managing threats, dragging a wounded person, what if people are moving around you, unknown forces, shooting from a vehicle, all sorts of things. And I had read the description of the class on the website, but I was totally unprepared for the actual class. So the site is in rural Illinois. It's very hilly out there. And so you have the range pits, and then you have this hill that is full of terrain and obstacles. And then you have another massive field for long range precision rifle. There's like a woods that you can do exercises through and all sorts of things. So when I came a day early, and which was really good for me because I could kind of drop into the environment and just get a feel for what it was like to be on a range because I had never been on one.
Yeah.
And so, we had a meal. And then the next day we just ran some exercises. We worked with the rifle a little bit, with the pistol a little bit.
Just get you acclimated.
Just get me acclimated. And I didn't realize at the time that that's what you were doing, that you were getting me acclimated to the environment and to the equipment so that I could make it through this 16-hour coursework.
Yeah.
But that's really like you were already coaching me and preparing me without telling you, I am your coach and I am preparing you, which I think is very unique, So you're acclimating me to this experience. And then we just show up on the range at 8 a.m. after breakfast for the first day. And there's 16 other people in the class and I'm the only female.
Yeah.
And now I was used to that because of jiu-jitsu. I, often am the only female or one of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But it's also just looking around, I'm like, I'm the only girl here once again.
Yeah.
Why is that? And then you just started working through the material. And we did that for 2 days and it was life-changing. I got to think about stereotypes and sort of the stereotypes that I had come to associate with men who like to shoot guns, thinking about them as some sort of I don't know what the word is, some, crazy evangelical patriot with, poor vocabulary.
We had a politician, a very prominent politician, who spoke down in a condescending manner about these people that want to cling to their God and their guns, their religion and their guns. And then you got to meet a whole bunch of people that didn't fit that stereotype.
And what's interesting is after 4 years in the environment, multiple classes all over the country, meeting hundreds of people. I haven't met a single person who fits that stereotype.
Exactly.
And in fact, I have met
Quite the opposite.
it's quite the opposite.
Right?
Well-educated, well-informed, well-dressed,
Well-read.
well-read,
Yeah.
a variety of jobs, professionals,
Yeah.
gentlemen
Yeah.
who aren't, I don't get little ladied,
No.
but I do get treated with respect and dignity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been absolutely profound how jiu-jitsu and then introduced me to this role, to then how my world views have completely adjusted based on actually being in the environment instead of existing in the vacuum of, my previous life.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing about the site, so you acclimated me. I went through the 16-hour class of realistic expectations of violence. We did rifle work on the terrain hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to move while shooting and use the rifle. We shot at, moving targets. I was able to get a private session on long range precision rifle with Jim Cobber, which was one of it's definitely on my top 5 list of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And we also worked the shoot house. So you showed me how you basically, like, what a SWAT team does when they have to clear a home, or, what a military unit might have to face.
Yeah.
Or, what a person might,
just you in your home.
Just you in your home. And it was another thing that really informed me on how dangerous being a police officer is,
Mm-hmm.
how, what our soldiers must go through when they're clearing houses or structures in a combat zone.
Yeah.
And, how there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of things in the way. Your vision is obscured by one thing or another. If it's dark and use light, you're a target.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not paying attention to your team, you could cause an accident. Mm-hmm. Just like muzzle control, discipline, how to hold yourself in a position that creates just a half a second of time, which could be the difference between, like shooting somebody that you care about versus
good decision versus bad decision, and giving yourself time to make that decision.
All sorts of stuff. And so then I start thinking about, like, gosh, all of these beliefs that I had were based on stereotypes. They were based on sound bites.
Mm-hmm.
They were based on, just these narratives that were created for people like me,
right,
that could be have their thoughts easily controlled. Then you put yourself in a position where you can kind of like, you can think about, why this training is so important, mm-hmm. and how you need to spend more time doing this so that you can be safer and less violent.
Right. And more of an asset, right?
And more of an asset.
Less of a liability. Like, I don't want to call the police every time I hear a noise in my house. Am I capable enough to go out there and check things and search and not cause an accident? Not, say it's my neighbor's kid, came home drunk and opened the door in the wrong house. Do I want to live with that? Do I want to make a lethal force decision in that moment that's incorrect? Or do I want to make an absolutely, completely, 100% correct decision in that moment?
Yeah. I think the other thing that I recognized was the difference between preparedness and paranoia.
Right.
And how I thought that people were training under the banner of paranoia, mm-hmm. that they were convinced that somebody was going to break in or take or, do something, and they were so paranoid that they were, going to always be ready. But it's just like everything we do, it's just a preparedness factor. What are the chances are that somebody breaks into the house, in a neighborhood where we live or anything like that? Probably pretty low, but it could happen.
Sure.
Am I paranoid about it? No. Do I want to be prepared and have a plan if it does? Yes. Same thing if there's a flood, if there's a power outage, if there's a hurricane or a tornado, or somebody has a heart attack on my living room floor, or, falls down the stairs at my gym, or whatever it is.
I wear a seatbelt. I have a car with airbags.
It's not paranoia.
I'm just increasing my odds.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. I realize and I recognize that accidents happen and things go wrong and life can change in a minute, and, it's kind of like that cartoon where the dinosaurs are watching the comet, the asteroid come over. And, and I can't remember what they were saying to each other, but it was something like, man, the light show tonight's really cool, and then life changed an instant later, but it's just that kind of stuff. So that was, and I remember you too talking about walking into the classroom and just being kind of intimidated a little bit and having a moment where you had to go in the bathroom and kind of talk yourself into it.
I've spent a lot of moments in that space where, I'm just like, am I even ready for this? What am I doing here?
Right.
What do I think that I am doing here?
Yeah.
In this room with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and this is why it's important for me to talk about my experience, my own transformation, is that I realized that I had lived in an environment where people were telling me what to think and how to think, under the guise that I was smarter, and then I was smarter than everybody else in the room. But then having these experiences and being the type of person that's willing to self-reflect and accept extreme accountability, which I think is another thing that is part of my jiu-jitsu transformation and the transformation over the last 4 years. You never once told me what to think or how to think about things.
Right.
You ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I've never felt patronized or condescended to. You've asked me questions that help me explore how I came to be who I was and who I wanted to be moving forward.
Yeah.
Versus, a life before, which was based on, this is how to think about these things.
Yeah.
And this is how you say it to fall in line with the narrative and exist within the vacuum and get validated by all of these people who you think also know.
Yeah. But you want to use, and that's important in the transformation space too, when coaching people, is it's important to have that motivational interviewing style of approach where you ask people questions that help them find the answer.
Yeah. And depending on what it is too, just like finding the answer for you.
Yeah.
Your life, your goals, your vision of yourself, who you want to be, that's what we're getting down to.
Yeah.
And that's been my process of self-discovery. And, it's not standing on a soapbox and advising people and trying to convince them and sell them on my vision for their future.
Yeah.
It is facilitating a process of discovery. Yeah. And that is what the last 4 years has been for me, especially going through something heinous like, being a nurse in COVID, and then, divorce and professionalism, and, kind of figuring out all of this stuff. Like, I am a completely different person.
Right.
And my life has transformed into, just this amazing work that we're doing. And that's what I want to bring. I want to bring everything that I've learned over my life and help people transform their own. So
Yeah. Help them go through those experiences.
help them. Yeah. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And be in those spaces where they're not quite comfortable, but they need to be there.
Yeah. You definitely need to be in the space that makes you the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's important for growth, right?
Yeah. I mean, even pretty hard moments when you're looking at, 20 years of your life going, oh my gosh, I had to accept some really, some things about myself that I did not want to accept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not a comfortable space. What's comfortable is making excuses for who you are and the behavior that you have. That's what's comfortable. It's not comfortable saying, like I could build excuses and be like, I did this because of that and all of these forces that were upon me.
Mm-hmm.
But again, another jiu-jitsu lesson, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of force being thrust upon you, but you have a decision, and first it's to defend yourself, then it's to start building up frames to create an escape, and then get control, and then end it. So here we are.
Here we are. Anything you want to finish with?
No, I just what I want to finish with is just this really exciting news that I have, which I'm getting double board certified as part with my nursing license. So I'm getting a double board certification called Health and Wellness Nurse Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be certified holistic nurse and a certified nurse coach. And I feel like this is even going to deepen our work even more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be able to do this transformative nurse coaching. I'm really excited about it. And I can't wait. So that's my big news.
I like it. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.